Hello everybody. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a custom lead enrichment system in WorkflowDog. Now this is the flow that we're going to be building today. Don't be overwhelmed, it's totally overbuilt. I've just added a couple extra features that I thought would be really cool. But first of all, let me show you what this thing does. So I'll head over into my mock lead spreadsheet here, and we can see we have a couple leads with websites attached. So what we're going to do is click our enrich link here, and you can see the status turns yellow, and we'll wait a few seconds. So there we go, we get the company name, a company description, and then a short little compliment from the website that we could use in an outreach message. And of course we can do this for every lead in our sheet here. We can run multiple at a time, and we get our responses in here. Okay, so to build this, we're going to be using WorkflowDog and Google Sheets, obviously, but we're also going to be using Firecrawl and the OpenAI API. So you're going to need those two API keys before we get started. Okay, so let's jump into WorkflowDog here, and we're going to start by creating a workflow. I'm going to use the URL trigger because it's the most direct way to run one of these workflows. I'm also going to start with a blank sheet here so you can see how I build this up. We're going to start super simple without all the other bells and whistles like the color-coded status and all that stuff. We're just going to start simply by getting the customer name from the website. So I'll begin by just putting in first name, last name. These aren't even used, so it doesn't really matter. And the website. That's the most important part. So I'll start by punching in a demo lead here. I'm Zach, and my website is workflow.dog. Cool. So that's all we need to start. Oh, we'll also have to put in the company column here, and just as a placeholder, we'll put in company description and compliment here. Perfect. So now we can go back into WorkflowDog and we can start building this out. So I'm going to start by clearing out some space, and then the first thing we're going to do is read that row from the Google Sheet. So we're going to say table row in this search, and we're going to do get table row. For now, I'm just going to put in a fixed row number, which is 2. That's the row number of my lead here, but we'll pull that from the URL eventually. I'm going to go ahead and enable my workflow as well. I'll go back into the spreadsheet and copy the URL from the address bar and paste that in here. And then the sheet name is sheet 2, as you can see down here. Oh, it's actually sheet 3, so let's correct that. Good. And I already have my account connected here, but if you didn't, you'd go ahead and connect a Google account with that button there. Great. So let's go ahead and run this and just see what it does. So we can pull up that run here, and awesome. So you can see it pulled our row here with all of the information. So we have the website here, which is what we're interested in. So I'll go ahead and select property and say website. And now our URL will be right there. So the next thing we need to do is give this to Firecrawl to go and scrape the website. So I'm going to type in Firecrawl, and I'm going to do scrape URL. And we're going to plug that website directly into URL here. Now in the configuration here, I'm going to change the format to Markdown just so we don't have a bunch of junk in there. It'll be easier for the AI to sift through it. Then I'm also going to include a screenshot, and I'm going to do a full page screenshot just to give the AI a little bit of additional context. Oh yeah, and if you don't already have a Firecrawl API key in here, again, you can do it just by clicking right there and entering it in. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add a chat node. So then we're going to plug the content of that scrape right into the prompt. Then we're going to add a file and go ahead and plug that screenshot directly into the file slot. And you can see those are the same types, right? Content is text, and the prompt expects some text, and screenshot is a file, and the file obviously expects a file. But now we have to give the AI a little bit of additional configuration to get what we want out of it. So I'm going to select the action here and check off structured output in the configuration. And so what this is going to do is it's going to force the model to output strictly the information we're interested in JSON format. Now, in order to define the exact shape of the output we want here, we're going to need to give it a JSON schema, which is just some more JSON that defines the shape of the JSON that we're interested in. I like to use ChatGPT to generate these. So in ChatGPT here, I can just say JSON schema of an object with property company name, and that's going to be a string. And then I'll tell it add company description, and we'll just stick with the company name and description for now. Cool, so then we can copy that and we can put that right in here, and that'll do what we want. Next, we want to go ahead and change the system prompt. So I'm just going to tell it a little bit about what we're doing. Cool. I'm also going to change the model to GPT 4.1 mini just because I like that one. Finally, we're going to want to go into the JSON schema here, and we're going to want to copy those property names because that's exactly what's going to be here. So I'm going to put company name there and company description and put that here. So then we'll have access to those outputs right here. Same deal for the API key. You can go ahead and add your OpenAI API key here. So now let's test this out by going back to that URL that we just went to. And we can check on that run here. It's currently running. And we can watch the outputs as they flow in here. So, yep, you can see it pulled out the website from the spreadsheet. And then Firecrawl pulled the website content in Markdown. That's perfect. And then also pulled a screenshot of the website, which is awesome. And then ChatGPT outputted our structured outputs there. And we can see company name is WorkflowDog and company description is okay, yeah. So it gave me a little bit of a long description here, which we're going to want to tweak. But you can see it's working. So since that company description was a little bit long, I'm going to tweak the JSON schema to get it to do what we want. So I'm going to jump back into ChatGPT here and say, add a description to company description that limits it to 10 words. Okay, there you go. So you can see that it added this line here, and that's going to give the AI what it needs to give us a shorter description. So I'm going to paste that new schema in there, go ahead and rerun this run, and perfect. So you can see it gave us a much shorter description there, which is exactly what we want. Perfect. So finally, we just want to go ahead and update our spreadsheet with that information. So I'm going to go ahead and add the update table row action. Accidentally added 2. There we go. So I'm going to put in my spreadsheet URL again. The sheet name is still sheet 3. The row number is still 2. And then for column, I'm going to go ahead and get the column name here, company, and company description here. Boom. And then we can just plug those straight into the value slot there. Now if we go ahead and rerun that and wait a second, we see our spreadsheet update here. So that's perfect. Okay, so now let's work on the complement field here. So I'm going to go back into ChatGPT and just tell it to add a complement property to this schema. Okay, so I just wrote a little bit to ChatGPT to try to get it to make the complement not sound so AI. So it added a description here that should help. So I'll copy that schema and go ahead into WorkflowDog and replace our original schema with that. And now we just want to copy complement and select that property here. Perfect. And now we'll add a new column in our update table row action and say complement and plug that right in. So now if I go ahead and rerun, we should see that complement get generated here. Yep, there we go. And it inserts it right into the Google Sheet. That's fantastic. Although the complement is still super stiff and AI sounding, you can tweak that to your liking. Okay, awesome. So this is working, but right now it's only working for row number 2 in our spreadsheet. So what we're going to want to do is insert a column left here, and I'm going to just name this enrich, and I'm going to put in a custom formula here with our workflow URL. So I'm going to copy that and write a formula here that says our workflow URL, and we'll put in a query parameter here that says row equals, and we'll concatenate, which is what the ampersand does, and the row function. So what that'll do is generate a URL with row equals 2 there, and if we bring that down, we get the correct row on each line. So now when we run this, actually start our workflow, and if we take a look at that run right here, you can see that the query parameters on the trigger data has row number 2 there. So we can actually use that as our row number in the workflow. So let's go ahead and break that out by typing row in here. Then we're going to use the convert to number action because, as you can see, row number on these Google Sheets actions expects a number, and the query parameter is actually text. So we'll go ahead and plug that in and plug that number in there, and it'll use that instead. And then we also want to update this one to use that as well. So we'll drag that over, and you can reorganize this to make it a little bit neater, maybe like that. But yeah, so now if we go ahead and copy this down and click this link, you can see it works for the exact row that we're on. And now let's also test this with another website. So as a lead, I'm going to go ahead and use Zach Allen, my friend who runs a company called Scout Talented. And we'll go ahead and put his website in there, copy the formula down, and this link should now work for his lead. Yep, so there you go. You can see it populated the company description, and the complement. So the next thing that my original demo had that this one doesn't was this little status color here. Now this is totally optional and just kind of for show, but I'll show you how to build it anyway because it's kind of fun. So I'll go ahead and add a new column here called status, and we're going to add some conditional formatting on here. So I'm going to jump in here, we'll do B2 to B, and we'll do a color scale, and we're going to want to do custom color scale, and put in for the min point, we're going to put 0, and that'll be red. That will mean not yet analyzed, and then we'll do 1, which will be pending, and then we'll do 2, which will be complete. So then we'll hit done here, and so we'll start these all off at 0. Okay, so back in our workflow here, what we're going to want to do is add an update table row action right at the beginning here before it starts doing the AI processing, and copy our Google Sheets link and put that in here. Again, sheet 3, and we'll put the row number in there to make sure we affect the right row, and then we're going to want to change the status column to number 1, which corresponds to our pending color. And then back here at the end, we're going to want to go ahead and add a status entry to this update table row action and go ahead and add 2. And so this will turn it green once it's complete. So now to test this out, we can jump back in and we can clear we can just clear all of these and go ahead and start one up. And you can see it turns yellow, and then as it finishes, it turns green. Now, the very last bells and whistles feature I added in here to make it convenient to use from a spreadsheet is I just added a quick response with some JavaScript code in it that just immediately closes the tab. So I'm going to do respond HTML, and right in here I'm going to write script, and in this script tag I'm just going to do window.onload equals, and in this function say window.close. And so this will just make the window immediately close as soon as we go to our automation. So it's just a nice little thing here. You can see when I click the link now, it immediately closes and we can see the status update, and then it goes to work. So we'll do another one here, and they can run at the same time. And then you can see we get the results back. So this is a really useful sales automation, and it's also a really good example of how you can continually improve your workflows. You can start with a super minimal version to get done what you want to get done, then you can add extra features to it to make it more useful. Thank you for watching.